gets heavy and the road feels long,
Oh, the volume. You can't hear
someone
it?
reaches out and helps you carry on. A simple act of kindness can heal a hurting soul. People helping people is what makes us whole. Every hand we hold, every heart we heal, shows us love is stronger than anything we feel. People helping people, lighting up the night. People helping people, making wrong things right. When we stand together, we can face it all. People helping people, we will never fall. Through the highs and lows, through the pain and fear, people helping people, always standing near. A stranger gives a smile when somebody's down, lifts them from the darkness, turns their life around. Every little moment.
Welcome, friends. I don't know if you could hear the music playing.
Yeah, we
but
could. It was wonderful.
oh, good. I know it's kind of going in and out on my end, and I do apologize. It's my internet. I will try to play it at the end off of a different device. But I do want to thank you all for joining us today on this Wednesday morning or evening. And I want to thank Paulette for inspiring people helping people. And Paulette, I'm going to pass the mic over to you to introduce yourself, and then I'll jump right in and introduce myself as well.
Okay, so I'm Paulette Hallam. I'm an ex-corporate girl, became author. Well, in between that, I was a therapist. Then I became an author, and now I'm out there trying to heal the world single-handedly, along with a few of my friends who are equally doing it. And then I met the wonderful Martha, or Marsha, some people call her, and the rest is history. We are two peas in a pod, or two pods in a pea. I don't know which we are, but we're definitely that. And I'm in the UK, and obviously Martha's in the States, but we could be living next door to each other. That's what helping people is about. It's me putting a hand out like that, and you put your hand out now towards me. If you put your hand out towards me now, Martha.
Yep.
Can you put your hand out? If I put a hand out like that and you touch my hand, it doesn't matter whether I'm in the UK or whether I'm in Uganda. That is people touching people through their hands, through their hearts, through their minds. And then if we touch the soul, then we'll get a reaction. Over to you, my dear.
Thank you so much, Paulette. Oh, well, for friends that don't know me who are joining me today, thank you so much. I'm the founder of ConnectImpact Hub, and this organization wouldn't have been alive and running if it wasn't for LinkedIn community and, of course, Paulette, who has been there since the beginning of ConnectImpact Hub, where we were just providing services through care bags. And now we are in 7 states actively advocating for the in-house and low-income families. So that's in the last 2 years. And that's only possible because we had people believing in people. And I remember when I shared in a room that I was on a mission to end homelessness, and I had a couple people reach out and they're like, how are you going to do that? And Paulette said, let's do it. And guess what? Not only have I touched lives, Paulette has been doing that. She's not sharing this loud and proud, but she's doing amazing services to humanity on a daily basis through her books, if you have seen her, any of her events with any, you'll know just listening to her voice that she speaks from her heart. Paulette, I want to thank you again for joining me today, minus all the tech stuff, and having these conversations about people helping people. You know, our life goes up and down, and it's never straight. And that's probably the beauty of life, right? I didn't want to say
It's not meant to be linear. It's not. Otherwise it'd be boring.
Yeah. And so, but there's always lessons to learn, even for myself, is that letting go of that tight grip, just letting go. We're not always in control of everything. And when we don't feel like we're in control, our life is all over. And I'm speaking from personal experience. But also when I come across different cases, I see, and I can tell from a distance what's going to happen next. So before it happens, I'll reach out. And if I see what's happening, and if my support is, you know, sometimes some people, they don't want help. They want to figure it out on their own. And when they're ready, they'll reach out. And sometimes they don't. So it's good to just extend your hand out and just say, "Hey, how you doing?"
I think that is kind of like what you've said right from the beginning. Not everybody wants to move forward. Not everybody feels capable of moving forward. Some people have got so broken and so used to living in this kind of community world where unfortunately drugs exist and depravity exists and all kinds of awful things happen. But that's become their new normal. And when that happens, it's like you have to shake them to say, no, there's somewhere else. It's a bit like saying to an alcoholic who drinks a bottle of whiskey a day, give up whiskey and try Coke. And they'd be looking at you going, and that's going to have the same effect, you know? You can't just expect people to give up something that's been part of their lives and part of who they are. But you have to understand the journey as to where they got there. When you know how they got there, why they got there, the route that took them there, then you can understand probably the problem a little bit clearer. It's not a case of one situation fits all. Every single person you've told me about has been different. Every one of them. There's not two that have been the same. Whether it's sorting out cars, sorting out dogs, sorting out vet bills, sorting out whatever the need is, every single person has a different need. So it's not like AA where everybody comes and everyone has an alcohol problem and you can sit there and give a very good therapy session on AA and explain why they need to give up alcohol and how it's detrimental to their lives, blah, blah, blah. With homelessness and the unhoused community, everything I've heard and everything I've seen, sometimes it's kids that get slung out because they've just said, I'm gay, and that's it. The bags are packed, they're slung out. They are thrown out their front doors. I've had cases of that in the UK. I've had cases where there's been an argument, a stupid little argument that a 16-year-old girl and a mother have, a single parent family, and she storms off with nothing but the clothes she's wearing and a mobile phone, not even an extension lead. She's got no money. She's not got any nothing with her at all. And she goes missing. And she ends up getting caught up in all the county line stuff and a horrific situation. All because the parents had an argument. They just had a differing opinion about what was right and what was wrong. And I think thing that you've taught me, if anything, the biggest lesson is that everybody's unique, everybody's circumstances are unique, and ConnectImpact Hub is about trying to find the right resource at the right time for that individual. And that requires not only an awful lot of effort, but it also requires an army to help resolve that problem. And so when we talk about people helping people, this is where you come in. It's the army of people that want to help, right? I like that, Felipe. I'm not sure it would work every time though. But in all seriousness, when we say we need an army, we really do need an army. Over to you, Martha.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Paulette. I just want to welcome Felipe, brother. Great to see you. Brother Christopher, thank you for joining us. And Josette, you are still showing as LinkedIn user. Thank you for being here with us. Paulette, as you were talking, see, now look at this. Don't mind my tech. As you were talking, I was thinking about when I first started, right? I fumbled the ball a couple times trying to figure out a way to maneuver. But I found that the solution is us. We are the solution to ending homelessness. And I say that because, when you're out in the field, you hear the conversations from the members directly about support not coming, about support saying they're going to show up and then they don't show up. And then when support shows up, what do you want from me? And I understand now why there's so much remorse or anger that builds up and why people turn to substance usage, alcoholism. They're enraged because they're tired, they're fed up. And then we have our people that are just free as can be, and they're happy in that element, right? But they're loners. They want to be by themselves.
They're like Forrest Gump. Okay, so do you remember the movie Forrest Gump?
Yes.
And he just started running and he just kept running, right? There are some people who will always just keep running, and that's what they want. They want to be on their own and just running. They don't want us to come in and rescue them because that's not on their agenda. But I think that what we're talking about really is where we can offer assistance, we have to be really smart that we're not like the others. When I mean the others, I'm talking about the state people that go out there, talk to the members, make promises that they're not going to keep, give them all kinds of ideas about what they might or might not do. And the members are all said, upset, enraged, frustrated. It's winter, they could be tired, cold, hungry. What they are goes on and on and on. And when somebody comes and makes a false promise, that's like when we talked about the world, our world being ups and downs, to them, somebody coming and just saying, just lying, just making a promise that's not going to happen is the end of the world. So when they've lost that trust, in comes Martha, and Martha says, you can trust me. And they go, oh, well, we haven't heard that before. And we need to just be seen as doing. And when they see you as doing and helping, and we can talk about without the names, but we can talk about the things you've done, and we can, do case studies on ConnectImpact Hub, and we can talk about the things that you're actually being able to offer and the resources you've been able to find, then that sort of says it's not a false promise, it's not a false hope. I back it up with Bosch. And then they'll go, oh, this one means business. And that's, I think, for me, where we have to start from.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Paulette. It's when we move with actions. There is a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk. Here in the States, we have a program that falls under continuity of care. And that program, under that umbrella, we have SDOH. There's a lot of different states. One is California, who is providing case management to these members. And I got to experience this firsthand, where you basically go out and get as many members as possible, and you sign them up for the program. And after you sign them up for the program, you'll, whatever your caseload is, it could be 30, it could be 40. I've seen 60 in some cases. And you're supposed to follow up with those members at least twice a month. So it all depends on the program that you're working with, what the criteria is. Now, what happened with that situation, or what I've seen, what I've witnessed, is that people were getting signed up, either referred by the insurance plan, which in this case it's Medicaid. And once they were referred either internally, or they would hear about the program, they would call. Then they would go through the authorization process, then approved, and sign up with a case manager. That case manager will then follow up with the member on a biweekly basis or on a weekly basis. Now, here's where the system does not work, where we're only meeting for 30 minutes to an hour in some cases, and we're supposed to be calling Medicare, we're supposed to be calling Social Security to find out what's the status of benefits. And a lot of these calls are not just 30-minute calls. They could be a 2-hour call. And so then you have case managers that are running to the next case, or they're falling behind. And then we're dealing with burnout. So we have a capacity. We're not meeting our staff care. We're not addressing that, and then we're also not meeting the members. So we're clashing, if that makes sense.
Do you think, I gotta be careful what I say, because you know me and my politics, but do you think it's partly because they're the unhoused community that they aren't given the level of care that you would expect for, say, the elderly? So, you know, if you were or disabled, yeah, because, you know, you might be checking up on them more often, you might be supporting them more often. But if you've got no money and you can't eat,
Yeah.
and you need medical help and you've got no Medicaid sorted out, you are pretty much, you're as good as just a number. And that is just a social security number. And what's happened, in my understanding, and certainly in the UK, people have given up on themselves. So it's not just the fact that you're talking about what's happened is dreadful, but we are enabling that feeling of worthlessness. So you're sort of saying, you know, you're not really worthy of any more time. You know, you only got your hour. And in that time, I did try to sort out Medicaid and whatever. So I'm off now, but have a lovely day, and I'll see you next week or next month or whenever. That level of care, that you can't do due diligence in that level of care. You can't do the work that's needed, because you could be on hold for 30 minutes. You might have to be passed on 4 departments before you manage to actually get to speak to somebody. And then that's before you even get involved in Medicaid. That was just trying to sort out one of the services you needed. So if you actually say, like a doctor, and our doctor surgeries get 15 minutes to serve a patient. In that 15 minutes, they don't really get to hear what the problem is. I happen to know somebody very close to me had a lump, and she told the doctor everything else bar the thing she went to tell the doctor about, right? And just as she's walking out the door, she, oh, by the way, I've got a lump in my left boob. And she's all left because the fear was holding her back. Now that's somebody who's living in a nice house, nice situation. We're talking about a situation here of people that are already broken. When you're broken, you can barely string a freaking sentence together, right? Let alone try and fight for yourself or advocate for yourself. That's why ConnectImpact Hub was really formed, to be the voice of the unheard and the unspoken, because we spoke about this and we said, no one cares, no one's listening, no one's trying. And then when you went and you found this job in Cali, we thought, oh, fabulous, we found an opportunity here. You can learn so much about, all the benefits and the upsides and all the things that are available. And then you say to me, oh, what a nightmare, right? And I just want to say that, kudos for you for giving it the best shot. But take it as that was a temporary position, because what that was the learning curve. That was your takeoff, right?
Yeah,
And now you're ready to jump.
Right. I also noticed, like, when I was out in the field was when I was meeting members, that they were signed up for programs that they weren't even aware of. And they would be at the library parking lot because the library offers Wi-Fi and a place for them to charge their phones. And so I was able to see who they were connected with. And so then I would call the program and would say, hey, I'm here with so-and-so. And so they had no way of contacting them, but they were assigned to their program. And so what was happening was so frustrating, because as I was out there and as I was seeing all these situations unravel, I am still, and it's still happening, I'm sure now. Why are we signing up members for programs that they're not aware of if they're listed as in-house? And, the program.
I want to ask that question of you. Why do you think that was? Is it box ticking?
Yeah. So when members go to the hospital for emergency services, if they're listed as in-house, they fall under, depending on the location that they go to, they're tracking the in-house community members, and then they'll get them connected with the case manager. And that case manager will then provide them with resources and then send them on their way. But sometimes they'll have a phone and sometimes they don't. So, being in-house, you lose your items consistently, your wallet, anything you have with you. And only you have is what you're wearing. That's it. And so what I seen, just from my personal experience, was that I didn't see enough people out there providing outreach services. And when I heard this multiple times from multiple in-house members, that just made it very clear to me that there's not enough support on the streets as there should be. We have many offices. Some of them are out doing their own services in different areas, and members can't come to the office to get services. So that was like another area that I found. Even though on their website or on the door it says their hours, they weren't in the office providing services. And so I found myself calling a lot of the time, a lot of these organizations to let them know, hey, I'm here with so-and-so and we'd like to see if we can get you connected. And thankfully they answered, because sometimes we also came across where they didn't answer calls. It went straight to voicemail. That was another issue.
And every time it happens, can we just understand that? Because the psychology of what happens to a human being is we can take so much, and then you sort of get taken away at the knees, and you get taken away at the knees, and you get taken away at the knees, and it can only happen so many times, and you fall down, and you say, "I'm out. I'm done. I can't do this." And then along you come, very focused, very determined, very invested in trying to make a solution for them. They don't see you as a fix, they see you as a fake, because everybody else has been a fake, so why would you be any different? And I think what we need is an army of fixers, because when we have people showing people that they are cared for, and that there are options, and that we are going to make resources available to them, and we will have meeting places and we gather information. It's a strange analogy, but I'm just going to mention it. A friend of mine went swimming in Fiji, okay? And the reason they went swimming in Fiji is because every year they ask the divers, and they ask divers to go to Fiji, and they count the fish, and they count all the different fish, and they literally put them in the library, so they know what kind of fish it is, how many of them they saw, where the fish at, where the shoals of fish are, and it's like an identity thing, right? So that they can see how that area is surviving with pollutants and whatever. And when you think about it, that's humans caring for fish. That's humans going over to count fish. And you have to pay thousands of pounds to be able to do it, and take time off of work to do it. And it must be a wonderful thing to be able to say, oh, I went to Fiji and counted the fish. But it seems very banal when you think that we've got so many fish on our streets that aren't even noticed. Nobody even sees them except that they need to be bulldozed. Nobody sees them except to be given, a bad look and told that they're not welcome or not wanted. And I think that, there was a guy the other day I saw in the States. He was in New York, and he's a barber. And on a Sunday, he takes his barber's chair and he wheels it out the front. And literally, he's got buckets of water and a sponge with shampoo in it. And he just shampoos their hair with this sponge. And then he practically pours a jug of water over their head, because he doesn't want to touch and their hair isn't necessarily always clean. So he wants to cut clean hair, which I completely respect. And they're grateful for the haircut, right? And then he says, shall I do your beard? And then they do the beard. And by the time he's finished, this person who was sat there hunched over and barely saying a word, you suddenly saw them kind of sit up and blossom and go, check him out in the mirror, look at me. And it's a haircut. And this guy said, I can do this because it's what I do. And if it makes a difference to that person and they feel valued, it's good for me. And I was like, he does it once a month. They know where to come. Sometimes he's got 50 queuing and he thinks, oh my God, 50. I normally would do like 12 in a day. And now I'm going to be doing 50. And I got a like just chuck buckets of water over the hair. But he'll do it. And to me, that is somebody who's got such a kind heart and such a willingness to have the blinkers taken off and see people for human beings. And that's really the part that you and I have been talking about, is how do we get an army of hymns, right? Because if we had a hairdresser in every town, a barber that's willing to, a hairdresser that's willing to do that, could you imagine how those people would feel? Because they can't afford a haircut. Let's be honest, they can't. Or nor would they actually see it as a priority. And yes, it would make such a difference to how they see themselves. And I think that was a real eye-opener for me. It was a conversation we'd kind of had, and then seeing that, I was like, wow, that is just so beautiful. And then I hear Mac talk about his friend who's out I think it's every other Tuesday, is taking clothes and soup and food and, all around London, supporting them, finding out what size shoes they are, and they're going and finding shoes. And, it's just another lovely, wonderful group of people. But they're just little tiny armies. And what I feel is, and this is just what Martha and I are talking about, is isn't in stone, but we think it would be a good idea, is to create an army of people that care in every single town, in every single city, in every single state, in every single country around the world. And if we did it right in one place, guess what? We would find, if we did it right in one place, then other people would watch and go, we could do that. We can follow what they're doing. And we would even give them the blueprint, right? Because that's what we're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
And that was something that I saw. And then I'd love you to talk about, we talked about the high schoolers and the university students.
Yeah.
Do you want to throw those ideas at us as well?
Yeah. So as you were talking, Paulette, I actually just was doing a presentation last night for my class on leadership, scholars, and peer review. And we had to focus on what we've learned through this process. And something that I put in my presentation was mentoring the youth, like who's next in line, because I'm going to get older, So how can we mentor our college students, our youth, to come out and do services, either virtually? I mean, I'm doing this virtually right now, and I'm serving in 7 states. So it is possible. But then we also have the folks that are outside. That's where we need more people to come and get involved on foot. But I do want to mention too, Paulette, is there's trauma that can be picked up through this journey. And through this journey, I actually got diagnosed with PTSD. And, when you're not used to seeing people, using right in front of you, the smells, people ODing, a lot of different scenarios, young people out there, mothers chasing their children who are adults, losing everything. it really affects your mental health. So I've learned through this process the self-regulation and the self-care part. Go ahead, Paulette. I see you you want to jump in.
Well, I was just about to say that there's a part of that we've talked about in terms of asking the students to, because that's where we talk about the next generation, the growth that we need. But
Yeah.
if we're going to have students do this, then we have to have a team of therapists or counsellors available to them, so that if they ever feel a bit overwhelmed or anything's difficult. But what I would also say, and I think this is really important, I told you that I don't think they should do it in less than teams of 2 or 3. And the reason I felt that was important is because if you've got a problem and it's divided by 3, you only take home a third of that problem. And therefore, you're only going to have to take that third, work through it and understand it, and then let it go. If you've got all of it and you're on your own, and it's continual and it's every day and there's more and there's more, there's no question PTSD, CPTSD, absolutely, by the bucket load. I will tell you that I was told by my supervisor, I never wanted to become somebody who specialised with mental health and suicide. It was purely because of circumstances. But you know, when you talk someone down off a rooftop, or you ask someone to get out of their car and they're about to drive off the top of a multi-story car park, you feel as if you've just moved a mountain, right? The euphoria is, wow, I managed to save that person's life. But then, you know how you have the high? The low comes when you realize just how low they must have been and how they didn't value their life enough to want to stay. And that's the part that ended up with getting into my head. And it's a bit like one of those worms, a song, you know, it goes round and round and round. And every time it goes round, it picks up some other case that you've dealt with. And I think that even if you've got supervisors to download to, you need that number to make it so that if one's going to be delivering a meal, one's standing guard, one's looking after the other, you know, you've got a team of people, they go out as a team. And I think that that is one of the crucial things about what we're going to do, is make sure that the university students are given all, I mean, there's the therapists on campus, there are counsellors on campus. We could ask for them to be really helpful and assist us if needs be. But I think if we do it in a magic number of 3, one hands the meal over, one stands by the door, the other one is watching. Because, you know, when you're putting people in a battlefield, and it is a battlefield, it's not bombs going off, but it's a visual battlefield, because you are seeing things that probably most middle class, average, not even middle class, just normal people can't even imagine. People just urinating up their tents. People just, because if they leave their tent, the tent risks being taken, or the contents risks being taken. So they use their tent as a toilet as well. They just get up and urinate out there. To see that is, for me, mind-boggling. But I've got a very strong mind. But for a young person, that could be very destructive. As you say, actively using, having needles, seeing them shooting up, things like that. This is like, we would have to do a lot of preparation. And that would be part of your thesis as well, would be, how do we prepare a student to go out there and be a soldier? Because they're going to be a soldier of a different kind. They're going to be a humanitarian soldier. And a humanitarian soldier doesn't carry a rifle, they carry a heart. And they don't carry anger and hate, they carry love and care. And when you're coming with that mindset, they'll be the only people that will sign up. You know, yeah, they might get a certificate from ConnectImpact Hub that says they've done 30 hours community service. And that's a great thing to put on their CV. Let's be honest. We've just invented something that every student's going to want. But you know what? The ones that you'll take on are the ones that are going to fit your criteria, because you'll see through the ones that aren't doing it with heart.
Right. Right. Like going back to what I did in the past, the learning situation, you do know right away who's there because they actually enjoy being there. You do see that. You see right through it. So yeah, that passion, you have to want to be there. You shouldn't have to be there because you have to. But I also, as you were speaking, Paulette, I was thinking about out of my high school, right, where I went for 4 years, we had over 800 students, possibly. Out of those 800 students, there's about 5 people that I know that are on the streets. Okay. And it could be more, right? So I have a teenager and he's in high school. And so I always tell him there's going to be some students, unfortunately, that may be unhoused or maybe are in-house and they're just not expressing it, you know? And we have these conversations because I try to talk to all of his friends. They're all teenage boys. And we talk about the unhoused. We talk about the circumstances that bring them there. It's important. It's important for us to do it as parents, as educators. It doesn't even matter what field you work in. If you see someone outside, sometimes some people don't want to approach because of their circumstances. They may be talking to themselves. They may be aggressive. Safety, of course, is always number one priority. But there's other people that are actually very calm and collective, and maybe they're living in their cars. And I always look at my son and I'm like, I'm going to go have a chat. And he's like, Mom, you know. But now my son's used to it, you know. Now he understands that, you know, if they don't want to talk to me, it's fine. But just saying a hello, connecting, I cannot ignore. That's the problem.
It's acknowledging.
Once you get out there, you cannot ignore it. If that makes sense.
No. And if you acknowledge that somebody exists, you just elevated them to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Which they didn't have before. You've suddenly given them the opportunity to say, somebody cares.
Yeah.
They cared enough to come and say hi, right?
Yeah.
I think that sounds as benign as it can, but it's not. So somebody who's not spoken to anyone, for someone to come up to them and just say, hi, how you doing? Is massive.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
really
Ben told me the other day, he said there was a guy outside Tesco's and he was sitting, like the big supermarket over here, and he was sitting outside by the trolleys. And we don't pay £1 anymore for a trolley because they changed, well, it doesn't really matter, but they changed the shape of the pound coin and it became more like a sort of threepenny bit type shape. Well, that meant they had to change all the trolleys. And they were like, to hell with that. We'll just leave it as free trolleys, right? Which is why there are so many trolleys in lakes and ponds and God knows where else. But anyway, aside from that, this guy was standing or sitting, but he had his hand on a trolley. So he'd commandeered a trolley and put all his stuff in a trolley. And that was going to be his trolley to push around and whatever. So Ben just said to him, is there anything I can get you? I'm going into Tesco's. And he looked at Ben, and he said to Ben, I don't know. And Ben said, well, would you like a sandwich? I was like, I don't know. Ben was like, well, would you like a drink? How about a meal deal? Something like that. I could do that. And he looked at him and he went, yeah. And then Ben was like, he doesn't speak. It's like it's one word answers. I'm fighting a brick wall here. So he left it that he was going to get him a sandwich. And he just said to him, cheese? And he went, yeah. And then Ben was like, what the heck, you know? Anyway, when he came out, he got his lunch, got his few bits and pieces he needed, and he had a separate little bag that he gave the guy. And he said, I got you a Coke and a water because I wasn't sure what you'd prefer. And there's a sandwich and some crisps, and I got a cake as well because I thought you can save it for later. And this guy looked at Ben and he said, how old are you? And this was a couple of years ago. Ben was like 21. And he said, 21? And you just did this for me? He said, I've got a son who's 21. I haven't spoken to him for like 6-7 years. He said, I hope my son turns out to be like you. And Ben had to walk, trying to like keep his emotions intact because he was very emotional about what he'd heard. But likewise, the guy got his food. The guy couldn't believe someone had noticed him. And the reason I'd say this is because there are thousands of Bens. Ben is not unique. Ben is a good kid, but he's not unique. There are thousands of good kids out there. And all we need to do is engage with them in a way that makes them see just what they could do to make someone's day better. And I think that people needing people helping people, but it's also about just people making someone's life better in that any small way, whether it's you saying hi or Ben buying them a sandwich. And I think that the more we talk, the more I realize that that army of college students who get their ConnectImpact Hub certificate that says they've done 30 hours community service, they may well say, I'll carry on regardless. You know, they may say, oh, just sign me up. I don't mind doing the shift. You know, just keep me in the pool because I don't mind. Just give me a shout. Because I think that if they get the lift that Ben got, Ben goes looking for people now, right? He's like eyes on the streets, you know.
Yeah.
And I say to him, you know, don't keep signing up for guide dogs. And the other day it was a helicopter to help somebody, some medical service. But he signs up all these things and then he sends them to his dad. It's really quite funny. You know, I bought two guide dogs, he says. They're £10 a month. I put your name on it, Dad. And Charles is like, thanks. You know. So anyone comes outside, they've got their he feels sorry for them. So he'll just say, sign up, yeah, sign me up. But put me down as Charles Hallam because obviously that's my dad. But what I'm saying is that I don't want anyone to think that Ben is unique. Yes, he's been brought up to understand that he has privilege and he has a good life and is very lucky on the one hand, but he's also had to live with autism and all of that comes with that, and he's also had to live with mental health. And to have come through all of those things and is now doing his master's in med at the moment. You know, he's come through so strong and with such a kind heart. And I think that Ben says that his friends are the same. So therefore, that means we don't have to look that far. We take one area, and I think your university is the one we go for first, and we trial it, we practice it, we hone our skills, we get it right, we have a package they get so they know what they're signing up to. So we give them an example of all the things they might see. We don't scare them away, but we want to make them pre-warned, because then they are prepared if they do see something. But we also then know if we put them out in threes, there's always one lookout to make sure that everyone's safe. And there's always, you know, two of you talking to the person delivering whatever it is you're doing, whether it's a meal or whatever it is you're looking after. I think that having kids cooking meals, I think having kids going out delivering clothes, I just think that this would be the most single-handedly important thing they'll learn at college, because they'll learn everything about everything, but they'll learn nothing about people. And what you've done and what you're going to do is give them this opportunity to get 30 hours of community service working with the unhoused, is the term we use, isn't it? And the unhoused community. And the that man who had a 21-year-old son, he would have been smiling for the rest of that day. He'd have had food in his belly, he'd have got a drink and a dessert for later, and he'd met this young man that had just made him feel like he mattered. And that is what we're talking about. We can't fix the world, guys. Let's be really realistic here. We can't fix the problem and we can't fix the world. But what we can do is change our little corner of it and make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, to add to what you said is sometimes there's folks out here that don't know they qualify for benefits, and they're living outside, or they don't know that they can apply for housing in different states, in different counties. They don't have to be stuck in one city, that they could actually move, that they can ask their case manager, if they have one, to put them on the list in a different state. They just have to have contacts, like an address. If they don't have an address, a phone number, an email, so they can be notified. And these little simple tasks can be a lot for someone that's in-house. But if they have a person that's dedicated to supporting them and to actually staying with them through the process until they arrive at their location, and then once they arrive at their location, then there's a team waiting there to then pass the case to that team. Now that's what collaboration looks like. And I've seen it happen, you know, and it is to see someone to be in a house for a year, to leaving the county to a different county and then being housed within 2 weeks. Yeah, there has to be, you know, you as a person will need to make that decision. Do you want to stay outside? You know, because the cost of living where you're at may be too expensive. So let's find another place. Well, it'll be cheaper. So let's connect with someone who has that knowledge. But yeah, just little areas that you may not think you don't have the capability or the knowledge. I don't know. Or you may be doubting yourself that you're not capable of doing something.
Yeah.
reach out to us if you need support. We'll guide you through the steps, and we'll send you some resources on whatever state or county you're in, and then we'll get you connected to those resources. Now, if you want to come on board and be part of what we're doing, go to our website, and I'll share that in the link. I don't think I posted it, but I'll share it in today's meeting here in the bio. So you can connect with us. We do have a volunteer section, and we're actually getting ready to revamp our website, which I'm really excited about, because there's a lot of different changes that are starting to happen with ConnectImpact Hub. And we will be reaching out to different universities to see who would love to be part of what we're getting ready to start.
And I really think that over here we have the Duke of Edinburgh Awards. And the Duke of Edinburgh Award is what they go through: a bronze, silver, and a gold. And, you know, they have to do about 30 hours of volunteering. And Ben worked in the British Heart Foundation, and he labelled up some clothes. He was given clothes to price up. And then he was given this job of making sure that the DVDs that were in the boxes were the right ones, and they weren't. And that was a hell of a job. And he hated it. It sat on the floor just surrounded by DVDs. And he kept saying to me, and I shouldn't have put them all out because they're scratching, aren't they? And I was like, probably. But you know what? It's a learning curve. When you were 16, you didn't know any better. And then because COVID hit, he ended up digging holes in the local farm shop. And he dug a pond at one point. And believe me, my son doesn't like physical work like that. But it was part of his volunteering. So he rolled his sleeves up and he got on with it. He had to do so many things that were out of his comfort zone. And I think that the Duke of Edinburgh Awards is such a massive thing over here. All we're doing is creating the ConnectImpact Hub Awards. And it's just using the same idea, but just making it a voluntary 30 hours of commitment. And then, you know, I think that a lot of them will want to stay to see that person through. Just like when we saw that young lady who was with her children and it was a terrible situation, and we got her a home and she got a job, and then she's qualifying, I believe, as Excel accountant now. And she's, you know, she's doing really good. And, you know, Martha brought that problem to us at the Happiness Tribe. And it was like, oh, well, that's a horribly sad story. And then everyone went quiet. And I went, well, what are we going to do about it? And Martha was like, oh, where did that come from? Right. And that was it. We were raising the funds. We were getting this done. We were getting that done. And she's ended up being our biggest success story that we will be able to always put on ConnectImpact Hub without names, without details, but just how we took somebody from being unhoused, living in a really horrible, nasty, scary place. And this naughty lady drove over there and took bread and milk and food, which I really told her off about because it was a very unsafe neighborhood. But we got her out of it and we moved her, and now she's got her life. And she will never, ever forget you and what you did, right?
Absolutely. Yep. She reached out to me in December, so she's doing really, really good. Right. I'm so proud of her.
That student that would have met that lady, they're not going to want to let them go until they see them, right? So come out the other side. Yeah. So I don't think 30 hours will be enough. They'll be like, oh, can we do some more? Are we allowed to do like an extended version or something? And maybe that's something you need to think about. But I think 30 hours is a good number, thank you, to start with. And I think it's I think it when we write the program, you know, we have to be really mindful of making sure we get the people with the heart and not the people that just think it would look good on the CV. because
Yeah.
there's some of them, believe me, there's always a few of them. But I think having people with heart, having people like you, and you'll know within seconds of meeting somebody, you'll know whether or not they're going to be able to cope and whether or not they're going to be the right kind of person. And you can do an interview, or if you don't want to do an interview, you can always just say to yourself, okay, how do I know for sure? Well, we can have a questionnaire. We can have you've asked about volunteering. Fill in this questionnaire, and then you can run that questionnaire through, and you can have a look, and you can have other people that are perhaps maybe a bit more fearful about going out on the street. They're the ones that help you with their
Yeah.
30 hours going
Great.
through CVs and making sure that the applications are the right, filled in the right way, and they're the right kind of people. Have a conversation with them. I think that you could, and especially with what you're doing with your PhD, this is going to be a big part of it, because you're coming up with a solution. Very few people in this world have a solution. Most people have a sticky plaster, right? And a sticky plaster lasts as long as the sticky plaster lasts. If you have a solution and you can see somebody through to the other side, then you can walk away and go, they're okay now. That's fine. I can just, if they want to stay in contact and help us, great. I mean, that would be marvelous. That would be the best way around it, right? But I tell you what, that lady's 2 children, they'll never forget. And when they go to college, please God, they'll be the sort of children that would sign up without even a hesitation, because they'll be like, yeah, that was us, right? And so we just need to work out what we need, what questions you want asked.
Yep.
And that's, again, put it out to your PhD when you're doing your conversations. Get them to do the work for you, Martha. Get them to write it. Get
Yeah.
them to come up with what they think
Mm-hmm.
are key areas that
Yeah.
we need our volunteers to be able to excel in. And then when you've got that idea, then you can start actually applying that to the professors and saying, this is what we're going to do, this is what we want to do. ConnectImpact Hub is going to have this, amazing outreach program for 30 hours of volunteering work.
Yeah. Well, Mac is here with us too, Paulette.
Yay!
I'm so glad he made it. He's putting some wonderful information in the chat. I'm just going to go back to what he said here. He said, thank you both for the valuable information you have shared. All please tag anyone that may want to get involved and donate time, resource guidance, and directions, or support financially. Thank you so much, Mac.
Yeah,
Mac's
thanks,
also
Mac.
a huge part of ConnectImpact Hub. He's been with us since day one through this whole process. So I am just grateful for you and Mac, Paulette, because it has been a journey for us. But we're now getting calls from programs requesting resources because we're doing a lot of the footwork. We believe in not wasting people's time, so we do a lot of calls to gather the resources, and we connect our folks with the resource, and we stay on the line if they're comfortable with it, or we just let them go, and they'll follow back up with us. But the goal is to do that warm transfer, but stay on the call and advocate. Because like you mentioned, a lot of folks, they struggle with expressing themselves in time of need. I mean, I've had conversations where they just started crying on the phone. They couldn't get it out. Some people start shaking because it's just too much. There's too much going and you can't get what you need to get out. And so that's why we do notes. We do a lot of notes. We share notes. We send emails with what we did, what our findings were, so that you and I are both on the same page. And I think that right there just creates that trust factor, because I know that's another issue that we're facing, where people are afraid to speak because they don't know who they're talking to. And so I always invite them to come check out the YouTube if they want to connect with me on LinkedIn to learn more about me, just to see what I'm doing, what I'm about. And I'm also sharing articles where I'm researching different programs in different states. And the programs that I'm researching on is because I actually worked on real cases in those states. So I do hope that you find that information helpful as well. I was going to say something else, Paulette, but we'll catch up. We'll catch up. We will be back here next Wednesday. We're doing a series. We're trying to see how this is going to work out. Please invite your friends. Come and join us. If you want to be part of what we're doing, reach out to me directly, or Paulette, or Mac. Reach out and let us know how you'd like to support the movement of ConnectImpact Hub.
And how also, just to interrupt for a second, how you think this would impact if you had a child who was at college, what this 30 hours of volunteering would mean to them. Because I think it's a special kind of person who wants to do this kind of thing, but also there's a lot of them, number one. Number two, I think when we have our CV type questionnaire thing that maybe even Felipe could help us out with, because it's a genius with all the HR stuff. But we definitely need some sort of good questionnaire that we could start with, and then you could take it to your students and ask them to help you create the final ConnectImpact Hub questionnaire that we will then take to the students. And I think any student body that supports this kind of humanitarian effort, especially students seem to have like a switch, right? When they're at home, they're like, yeah, I care, but I care, but I care. Then they leave home and they go and they experience living on their own. They experience having to go and buy the baked beans and the bread and whatever else. And they experience having to manage their money for the first time and all those things. And I think they experience life. Yeah. And in that moment, we can catch them.
Right.
What humanity really is. And humanity is caring for our fellow human, for our fellow community member who we don't know their backstory, and we shouldn't be judging because we don't know. And those that are on fentanyl and everything else that I'm hearing about, listen, somebody gave them that drug. Somebody started them on that journey. And those people are long gone, right? The zombies that are walking the streets it's so awful and scary to see. Is. And the facilities aren't there to take them all off the streets and put them into some kind of facility to support and help them and get them off that drug. And from what I can understand, it literally erodes the brain. It literally is like eating the brain. And it kills so many cells, much more than like chemo or any of the hideous things we can have as medical interventions. Fentanyl actually does so much damage. And we need to let these kids know that. And you know what? They won't want to touch it. They won't want to go near it. So we're also doing a service of teaching them about all the things to avoid, all the things that you'll never want to touch, you'll never want to see, and you'll never want to be. And that means that you're not disassociated from the situation, but you can actually say to yourself, I don't ever want to have to feel like, I don't ever want to be like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't ever want to have to
ever want to try that, or even like sharing foods and snacks. Like you have
Yeah.
to, you know, it's unfortunate now, like even that you have to be careful with. But I know we're a little over time here.
Yeah.
I wanted
Let's
to,
have our lovely song. We've got to have the song.
yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to play the song again here. I might hear echo. Let's see. Can you hear it?
When the world gets heavy and the road feels long, someone reaches out and helps you carry on. A simple act of kindness can heal a hurting soul. People helping people is what makes us whole. Every hand we hold, every heart we heal, shows us love is stronger than anything we feel. People helping people, lighting up the night. People helping people, making wrong things right. When we stand together, we can face it all. People helping people, we will never fall. Through the highs and lows, through the pain and fear, people helping people, always standing near. A stranger gives a smile when somebody's down, lifts them from the darkness, turns their life around. Every little moment, every caring deed, people helping people is the world we need. One voice can start a change, one heart can light the flame. And when we come together, nothing stays the same. People helping people, shining like the sun. People helping people, stronger all as one. No matter where we come from, love can lead the way. People helping people every single day. People helping people, hand in hand we rise, changing lives forever. Opening our eyes. People helping people. That's how hope survives.